Hey crafters, it's Justine, the Twilight Stamper, and today we're going to be starting the 3 cards 1 stamp series for June 2015, and I'm focusing on the Bear Hug stamp from Mama Elephant. We're going to learn how to create a Northern Lights look and the Northern Lights technique today. This is a little close-up of the stamp set here. It's got really great sentiments and some really great images, and I'm going to be using that bear there that I just showed you. To start off, I'm using a panel that's 2.5 by 4.25 inches, and I'm going to start off with some Mustard Seed Distress ink. As you can see, I'm just taking my blending tool and putting 3 blobs of the mustard seed ink. Then I'm coming in with some Pine Needles ink as a mini distress ink pad, and I'm going directly underneath the yellow and blending that in. Again, not really concerned about getting any sort of lines or anything like that at this point. Next, I'm coming in with some Broken China, and I'm sort of blending in some of the edges and filling in those white spots. Most of the white spots should be filled at this point. Next, I'm coming in with Dusty Concord, a dark purple, and then I'm going in and filling in the rest of the white spots. I learned how to do this and got the tutorial from Split Coast Stampers, and I'll link to that below, and it's also on my blog. Next up, I'm going to be using the Chipped Sapphire ink. Now I'm going in and just kind of putting some random blobs of dark ink over the colors I had already stamped. Lastly, I'm going in with some black ink. I'm starting with Black Soot. First, I started off by going along the edges of the panel here that we've created and darkening those up. And then I started putting some random areas where I needed to darken it up, especially that yellow. I just kind of put a little bit over top to kind of dirty it up, you could say, so that it's not too vibrant. And that was the end of the Northern Lights technique that you saw here, and this is what it looks like. It looks even better once we have the stars, which I'm adding right now with the white gel pen, and it looks even more better when you have some black cardstock that aligns it and really makes it pop. At this point, the tutorial also suggests that you stamp maybe a tree or something like that in black ink at the top of a tree to really give it that nature look and make it look like a night sky. But as this card series is only a 3 cards 1 stamp series, I'm only allowed to use 1 stamp set, and the stamp set doesn't have a tree or anything like that on it. So I'm just leaving it for now. I'm going to be inking up this bear from the Bear Hug stamp from Mama Elephant that we're using this month, and I'm inking that up in Memento black ink because I'm going to be Copic coloring this little really cute bear, Mama Bear and Child Bear, or Papa Bear and Child Bear. It doesn't really have a gender. Bear cub is the word I was looking for. I'm such a good Canadian. Alright, so I'm going to go in some Copic coloring right now, and I'm going to speed you up in just a second. I'm using RV11 for the ears. And then I'm going to be using E55 for the noses. And for the bears themselves, I'm using E15 as a base coat, and then I'm shading using E18 and E17. And so I'm just doing a whole coat and saturating my paper using the E15. At this point, it doesn't really matter if you go outside the lines because you're going to be cutting it out anyway. Going with the E17, I'm just darkening it up there where I think the shadows would be. Since they're looking up, I decided my light focal point would be in the top right corner. And then I went in with the E18 and really darkened up those lines, followed by, again, with the E17 to blend that out a little bit, and then going back in with the E15 to make that final touch. I'm going to be coloring this bear 3 times this week in those exact same shades, and so you'll be able to really see that over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to lay out all the things that I need to layer out my card. To do my card base, I'm making an 11 by 4.25 panel, and I'm scoring that at 5.5 inches to make a top folding card. Next up, I'm going to be attaching my Northern Lights panel, and so the Northern Lights panel again was 2.5 by 4.25 inches, and the black panel that I created here is 2.75 by 4.25 inches. So it makes a border on the top and the bottom, but not necessarily on the sides. So it's going to go straight out till the edges of the cardstock when I glue that onto my card. At this point, if your distress ink is not dry, you might want to double check your fingers before pushing this onto the white paper so that you don't end up getting any smudges onto your white card base. I think the contrast between the black Northern Lights sky and the white cardstock is really great on this here. I attached my little mama or Papa Bear and Bear Cub using 2 layers of the foam tape from Simon Says Stamp. And lastly, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. It's probably a good idea to stamp your sentiment before adding the bears. I never had an issue, but if your foam tape is too thick, or is thicker than your stamp, then it's not going to stamp properly. So stamp your sentiment first is my suggestion, and then attach the bear. I'm using the Thank You for Being My Papa Bear stamp, also from the Mama Elephant Bear Hug stamp set, and I'm using some VersaFine, Onyx Black ink. It's my favorite ink for stamping sentiments, and that's the reason why I chose that instead of the Memento ink. And I stamped that straight down into the bottom right corner. This is actually my Father's Day card for this year, and I think it turned out really, really nice, and it's a nice masculine look, so I hope you enjoyed this card tutorial and the Northern Lights tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on Tuesday for the next part of the series.